Hi, I'm Laura Scott and I'm going to talk a little bit about my new collection that's coming out with Carcanet next month. That's February. It's called The Fourth Sister and it's my second collection. And when I say that, I kind of can't quite believe it because I didn't start writing poems till quite late, so I'm still really surprised and really happy that that's actually what I do. So there's no linchpin really with this collection. There's no single idea that holds the whole thing together. It's more that I write poems all the time. Actually, if I'm not writing a poem, I feel quite sad and a little bit pointless. It's like I need to write poems in order to know what I think, and in order to kind of anchor me to my surroundings. So anyway, I write poems pretty much all the time. And when I'd written about 20, I suppose I stopped and had a look at them and saw what kind of ideas, images were being repeated, if there was a kind of territory that the poem seemed to be being pulled back to. And then I suppose I mined that vein. I wrote, once I'd identified some of those things, I wrote more poems in that area, and that's how the collection got shaped. And what I want to do now is just say just talk about two of those kind of capillaries in that vein, tributaries or whatever, that I've noticed. The first one is the idea of imagined sociability, really. A lot of the poems seem to be very interested in that place of parties, that place of a talk which is very much the sort of talk that you get at parties, where it's sort of transitory and light and people are saying things to try out, to try them out, to see how they sound, see how they feel. And I suppose I'm interested in that. Not interested in that, but I found myself drawn to that, maybe as a way of countering the sort of solitude and isolation with which I write poems. Because, I sit here on my own, spending hours and hours, perfecting a single line, looking at it. So there's a sort of a longing to jump out of this place and to be in the place of social life, of people talking, of communication. That's one reason. And I suppose the other thing I was thinking is that maybe because that sense is more acute, because I wrote a lot of the collection during lockdown, when the isolation was more extreme. So I think that really is a vein that you can see in the poems. And I thought I might just read two poems. So I'm going to read a couple of poems that are about that social space, that longing for that imagined social space. The first one is it's the space of the theatre that I'm trying to get to. So I wrote this after I'd gone to see The Three Sisters. So it's called To Be One of Them. To be a link in that necklace of sisters, to flit between them and forget sometimes which one I am, the oldest or the youngest or the one in between. To slide into their space and find my way into the room they spend so much time in, talking and talking. To feel the pattern in the threadbare rug under the sole of our black lace-up boots. Feel its colours fade and bleed as we pace up and down, flinging out our lines as if we were scattering seeds into the stalls before I flop down into a chair and sigh, or maybe laugh, to watch the staircase fold and collapse under the weight of all our talked thoughts piled up on each other like a litter of puppies scrambling for milk. To talk and talk, to slow life's ruin down by playing it backwards, and to love the sound of it, the note of longing seeping in and out of me and everyone around me in that room, on that stage and in that theatre, and knowing that really that's all there is. Okay, and then the next poem is called Cheekbones. She found herself thinking of his more and more. It was the kind of game she played where she had to find the right word for them, the one with the frisson of a direct hit, and elegant was the closest she'd come. Can you even have elegant cheekbones? She only ever talked to him at parties, and the parties seemed to be drying up. He wasn't even at the last one. She'd scanned the room for him, but he wasn't there. Maybe that's why she was thinking about the cheekbones and how they took his face out of time, so she could imagine it, older and younger in the same swoop of thought. She liked his talk, the way he made silhouettes for her of the people there. That was all, really. But here she was, still plucking over the strings of his face, trying to find his note. The other vein I want to talk about is time. It says something on the back of the book about how the Fourth Sister is a collection of unusual love poems. I think that's what it says, if I remember it right. And I've been thinking about that a lot, thinking, is that true? What sense are they unusual? And I was thinking that they're really love poems to time. It's like time is the beloved, is the object being addressed, the object that needs to be persuaded, convinced, flirted with. It needs to, not all of the poems, but a lot of the poems are asking for time to slow down, or to freeze, or to replay, or to play it backwards. They're like little mechanisms, clockworks or something like that, that are kind of put up into the air to try and stop time. And yeah, I just think that's central to the Fourth Sister. So I'm just going to read a poem about that. Actually, but before I do that, I was thinking that the other thing I wanted to say in this little video thing was to say a thank you to Carcanet, because they're just the best, and specifically to Jazz, actually, because Jazz helped me enormously with editing the collection and getting it into the right kind of order. And one of the things that was just lovely about working with her in that way was that it meant that the whole collection felt alive right up until the end. The possibility for change, for putting new things in, for slotting, for re-slotting things. The poems just was a joy, really, to work with. And so one of the things that I love about the collection is that I sort of saw it through somebody else's eyes while it was taking shape, and I think that's different to my first collection with Carcanet, So Many Rooms, which was much more solitary. You know, I kind of worked on them, and so this last poem I'm going to read is kind of like a thank you poem as well for, well, it's not for Jazz, but I just wanted to say a big thank you to Jazz for letting me get a collection together in that way, which I hadn't even thought was possible before. So this is a poem that came in very, very late, and it is one of those ones that's addressed to time, because it's about replaying a moment. Okay, so I'm going to finish with it by reading this. The Bored Cowboy. And what about the blackbird singing his big, strong song from the heart of the tree? Let's go back to that, to how loud it was and how hidden he was. So at first it seemed as if the whole tree was singing, as if every branch and every leaf had opened its throat, and how clear and green the sound was, stopping me and drawing me towards it, until my eyes found a path through the leaves, and I saw him, centre stage, the garden's own opera singer, flown in that morning, framed by painted boards of magnolia leaves, how everything else just fell away, as if the cowboy who slinks in every day and leans against the wall, stringing his rope with trinkets and worries and spinning it in a hoop around me, got bored and dropped it to the ground. So there was nothing between me and the sound, and I saw it, saw the sharp orange beak open and close.